Well, I am John Brandt. I'm CEO of the MPI Group, and we're going to talk today about achieving success in today's environment. And more specifically, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about some research and share the findings of that research that we have done across thousands and thousands of firms in a variety of industries, and more specifically about in the professional services area, in a number of areas where people have complicated business development and sales cycles, and the fact that it is different now in how you have to approach business development and what you need to do to succeed there. And by the end of the day, and by the end of Mike's excellent presentation, I hope you get a feel for what some of your competitors are doing, and maybe some things that you can do differently to increase the number of business development leads and wins that you have. So where are we at right now? Well, we know that every client is under pressure. And can we pop the slides up? That would be great. Because I have really cool transitions in these slides, and I want to see the flipping cubes and everything like that. We know that all of our clients are under pressure, regardless of industry. We have just come through the most difficult period in the last 70 years economically, not just in the US, but worldwide. We have an entire generation of managers who are at the clients that we're dealing with who have never managed in an environment like this. Because the last time it was this bad, and this downturn was not as bad as the Depression, let's be clear on that, but it has not been this bad since the 1930s in 2008 and 2009. So we have a number of clients who are under incredible pressure right now, and that's making them do some odd things, ask different questions, and look at value differently. And that combines with a number of other trends we've seen to say that business development is different than it used to be. And the single most important thing that you can take away from this today is that your clients want something different than they've wanted in the past. They want more than a service or a product, regardless of industry, and they want more than an accounting function or an accounting consulting job from you. And why is that? Why is that? Is because what we're seeing across industries and the research we're doing is that, in general, everything is falling toward commoditization. Your clients now expect that if you're providing a service, it's going to be quality. They're going to expect that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And they increasingly expect that they're going to be able to get more value from you year after year, whether via declining prices, greater integration of services, or more support. And if you cannot provide them this greater value, if you can't add to the core functions, you are putting your base business at risk, and you are certainly putting your business of the future at risk. Now, the really interesting thing is that when we do this research, and we do research across, you name the industry, crazy industry, we've probably done research there, whether it's heavy machinery, healthcare, pest control, beauty salons, you name the industry. We've done some studies in a couple of industries that are pretty far away from what you would think are cutting edge. And what we've seen there is that those firms that are starting to put together an integrated package of not just a product, but a product, a service, and some consulting, are seeing faster growth rates and higher profit margins going forward. And that applies to professional services as well. The question in every industry, but I would argue especially in professional services right now, is how are you going to create 5% more value for every single client every single year going forward? Because that's the question they're going to ask you. And the easy way to do that is to cut your prices by 5%. The problem is that doesn't work after about 2 to 3 years. So the question is, what do we need to do? How do we act differently? How do we market differently? How do we deliver service differently going forward? So I mentioned business development has changed dramatically. We don't have a lot of time here today, so what I want to do is I want to focus in on 3 key areas that you need to keep in mind. And that is how your clients have changed, how mediums and methods have changed, and how your specific competitors have changed and adapted to this to meet the new market realities. So the first question is, what do your clients want from you? Do they want to buy an accounting function? Do they want to buy a consulting project? Or do they want something more? And the interesting thing about this is if you think through, we've had a number of societal changes that have gone forward that have made big differences. How many people in this room, let me ask this question, how many people in this room have some sort of an electronic device, on them right now? a BlackBerry, an iPhone. How many of you use that or some other electronic device to manage your tasks these days? Whether it's your computer, a Taskus, Entourage, whatever, huge number. How many of you, like me, absolutely hate that device? How many? And I'll tell you why. I hate that device because A, I'm on a short leash, right? We're all on a short leash now with our clients. B, because I manage my tasks with it, I am very nostalgic for the days when I used to use this method of personal management. It was called, maybe you've heard of it, the legal pad method of management. Anybody here ever use the legal pad method of management? Oh, God, do I miss that. I miss it because the best thing about that way of managing your task list is that once a month, accidentally on purpose, I would lose the entire list. And when I recreated that list, magically, all the stuff that I didn't want to do had just evaporated. I have an iPad over there with a new task list. There are things on it that have been blinking at me from that and the BlackBerry before it for the last year, and I'm just too much of a wimp to go, I'm a loser, I will never ever do this, and delete that task. And I know many of you have the same experience. Well, the experience that we're having is the same experience our clients are having. And one of the things I try to stress is that what our research is telling us is that when you go out and you talk to a client about this great new service you've got or the way you're going to deliver it, it's terrific, your clients are not even seeing you anymore. When they look at you, your face has morphed into a giant BlackBerry. And they are looking at you and they are saying, I am so busy. Is this person trying to take something off my list? Or 2 or 3 things off my list? Or is this person adding something to my list? Because what they want to know is not what you can do or not what your stuff does or what your service does. They want to know, I'm worried at 2 in the morning about this whole series of problems. How can you package an integrated solution for me that is going to make me less worried? The other interesting trend, and there's like about 3 of them right now societally that have affected us. The second one is the fact that we are being compared to industries that are not anything like us. We all spend a great amount of money, not just in professional services, but in every other business to go online, get our businesses on the internet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, over the last 10 to 15 years. And the result of that is that we all look pretty much alike to our client base. And so when they get good service in one industry, they don't understand why they can't get it in every other industry. And as a matter of fact, one of the key questions that we can encourage our clients to ask themselves is to go out and talk to their clients and say, what is the industry that you got the best service from in the last 3 months that is not our industry, and how can we help you replicate that? And a great example of this is PC Connection. This is a little company in Marlow, New Hampshire. You may have never heard of them. They're a computer reseller out in the middle of nowhere. But if you call them before midnight, they will fully configure any new computer, any brand you want. They will load software, they will add peripherals, laptop, desktop, and they will ship it to your office or to your home the next day. Matter of fact, they're there till after midnight to ship software till 3 in the morning, which means that if you're really nice to the person on the phone, they might actually finish your computer after midnight and have it at your house 7 to 8 hours later. That's a tremendous experience, but what happens when somebody gets that experience and then the next day they wake up, they're tired, they're cranky because they stayed up too late ordering a computer? They call a catalog retailer. They want to get a flannel shirt because in Cleveland, Ohio, it's getting cold. And they're told, I'm sorry, you called after 1 o'clock, we can't pick it and ship it. I'm sorry, did you want that next day? That's going to be $25. What happens to most people is they get really, really mad because they know it's not harder to take a shirt off a shelf, throw it into a bag, and mail it to somebody than it is to fully configure a new computer. And this is happening to all of us. If you have not asked one of your clients, who do we look like and what do they do better than us, you are missing an opportunity to create new value. Because the reality is that when there is a game-changing innovation in an industry, in delivery and business development, it is not usually the first time it was ever thought of on the planet. It was usually stolen, benchmarked from another industry. And I would encourage you to do that. The other thing is that clients think differently about our businesses, and we are all desperately trying to catch up to what they actually think we do and what we stand for. What does our brand mean? Great example of this is Guinness. Guinness has done very well around the world. They've had a 20-year, pretty much nonstop run, except for one market where they got in trouble in the early 2000s. Anybody have an idea what market that was? Ireland. 3% decline in sales in Ireland. And why? Well, let's go through the standard MBA causes all of us would go through. Well, or, okay, well, maybe their production quality. Well, it's the same recipe for 350 years. Probably that's not the issue. Not enough advertising and marketing. Ever been to Ireland? Can you turn around without seeing something that says Guinness on it when you are there? No. So when they examined it, what they found was they did not have a standard business problem. The problem they had was that the demographic they needed to reach, the 20 and the 30-year-olds, basically they were looking at the 50 and the 60-year-olds in the pub, and they were saying, if that's what the end of a career drinking Guinness looks like, I'm not going there. I'll have the light beer, please. Well, how do you fix this? Well, there's a lot of stuff you could try. What I applaud Guinness for is that they went back and they said, okay, let's figure out, first of all, what are we as a company? What does our brand mean? What do people think of? When they did the research, what they found out is that Guinness does not stand for beer. In their customers' minds, Guinness stands for community. It stands for bringing people together. And if that's the case, then you have to change the way you go to market. You have to change the way you deliver some stuff. You have to do some things in untraditional ways. What they did, for example, is they took that brewery at St. James Gate, they turned it into what they call the Guinness Storehouse. They now do all employee development and training there to build the Guinness culture. They do all kinds of poetry readings, concerts, etc., that are attractive to the demographic. They do all bartender training because apparently there is a right way and a wrong way to pour a Guinness. I see a number of you nodding enthusiastically. I will not ask how your research was conducted. And it's really interesting. They've seen some promising results, but the thing that gets me is that this is a beer company, right? But their brand, they've decided, stands for community, and they are going to market differently now in all kinds of creative ways.